And one more session from Sber Offline Hub, How to Build a Startup for Startups, with ALEKSEY BIRUYKOV, CEO at Andata, ALEKSEY MAYSTRENKO, CEO at Platform Sales Chain, VALERY SHARIPOV, CEO at Malivar, moderated by MAXIM BARSAMYAN, Executive Director, Head of Scouting and Partnership at Sber.
And today, we have 3 fantastic startups of Sber 500 graduates, and they'll show super results, their future unicorns. So we are having ALEKSEY BIRUYKOV, CEO of Andata company, VALERY SHARIPOV, CEO of Malivar, and ALEKSEY MAYSTRENKO, CEO of Platform Sales Chain. Hi. And today we talk about how to build startups for startups. So firstly, guys, I wanted to ask you to briefly tell us about your platform, about your business, what you're doing. Shall we go one by one? Yeah. The way. So we are running an online service that helps to optimize advertising campaign in one click. So we are trying to create a platform that would make all the marketing people fired and be replaced by robots. So we are trying to make the conversion cheaper by pressing one button. Hi, my name is Valera. I'm the founder of Malivar, and we are creating synthetic and virtual people, and we are trying to offer royalty-free faces or characters to the businesses because people are going online more and more, and we are creating those characters who you can become in this ever-changing world. So just don't tell us that now we can fire all the people and hire your characters. Yeah. So, hi, my name is ALEKSEY MAYSTRENKO. I'll introduce myself too. We are working with banks and financial companies who are helping them selling the banking and non-banking products with the help of the partner network. So our clients are increasing their sales 2 times in the first 6 months. So you're automating things and optimizing things, but the question is, how did you find it, and how did you start with your startup? How did you realize that there is such a niche and you can take it? Yeah, I can tell you that I've been working in marketing for 20 years. I have this education in this sphere, and I owned the advertising agency, and it was a pain for me when I was creating campaigns for my clients, and I was hiring people and so on. And I was trying to figure out what's working in the internet and what's not. So that's how you come with the solution. And you see that you always depend on the employee, depend on his or her mood and on how you control. If you don't control things properly, then you lose the customer, so on. So it's a pain. So your pain comes from the business and you felt it yourself. Yeah. Valera. Yeah, I'll take up this and carry on. I also have my background in marketing. I was working a lot with celebs and with people, and I realized that sometimes it's not a reliable thing. Sometimes a person can leave you and go to your competitors and so on, and you invest in him. So all that transformed that we can offer some alternative to the business and so on. It's not replacing the people. It's a tool for creativity. So, when somebody wants to be somebody else in social media and so on. So it came from the pain, but step by step we realized that there are different segments of the users and it can be useful for different people. Yeah, I'll tell about myself too. I've been in the banking sector for 15 years. I was working on sales, and since a lot of customers are coming through the partners channel. I was trying to work on it, and the product came from my personal pains and pains of my employees. When to sign up a new agent, they had to spend 2 weeks on structuring this business process, going to an agent, getting the package of the documents, checking them, signing the contract, and it was unbearably inefficient. And in time, I got this idea: why don't we digitize it, starting from agent onboarding and ending with remuneration payments, making Salesforce people's life easier in the banks. Yeah, it was the same with me, and I realized that I can do more than I used to. Yeah, and I have the following, the question that worries all the startups: how do you find customers, and what kind of tools do you have to find customers? Probably B2B clients mainly, right? Well, we have B2B who pay, and we have retail customers who try to use the platform on their own, but fortunately we don't have to work with them. So you can go through Accelerator, like in Sberbank Accelerator and Severstal and Rift and Tinkoff and Tele2. We ended there through Sberbank. And there they always have someone who's in charge of innovations, so you can quickly get to the pilot there, and it's fastest. And it's the fastest way here in Russia. Or it's called sales. You're trying to find the necessary persons, and you try and find their contacts. You try to contact the respective people through Facebook or somewhere, and so on. So it's either connections or accelerators. So, well, I won't repeat it. As for interesting channels, I can say that we have our own character that takes part in campaigns with big businesses, and we have marketing that we get paid for. So you're running some cool collab with AliExpress or some cool brand, and media picks it up, and we are about the visual, content, and everyone likes it, and it's additional leads for us. But yeah, traditionally it's accelerators, selling with enterprises and so on. Yeah. Same thing that you've mentioned. Well, I'll just add that we have a cool channel through CosDivs, and we find people who say, hi, we are calling from here and here, and we would like to ask you several questions, being experts in the market. We ask them the questions, and at the end we see that they have pain, and we cover it, and at the end we throw this bait. We have this product, and it covers this and this and this pain of yours. Would you be interested in that? And then we continue with our dialogue during the next meetings. As for startups, do you interact with startups? Well, together with Valery, we were in the same batch, and one of the first tasks and one of the first mentors. Yeah, and by the way, we were lucky. We had a physical. We had mentors coming physically to us, flying in, and one of the first tasks they were making us selling the product to our colleagues from other startups. Yeah, and it was cool, and we worked with some guys up to now. And in this startup company, it's not about money. It's about I'm giving you, you're giving me, and I'll try your product for free, and you'll try my product for free, and we get each other to meet new people. you don't have a big number of. It's not about the right number of people who you like for to be sufficient in terms of lead generation. Yeah. Well, if we talk about us, we have the guys who were coming for our product from batch number 1, 2, and 3, and they were coming from Telegram chats. We have several chats from the second batch. So here it's about collaboration. Some guys can create some cool video or something, and we can give them the character. So it's like a synergy. But as for your P&L, is it the main article in your point in your P&L? Yeah, it's for future. When we become unicorns, then we'll be swapping the marketing budget. Well, firstly, we naturally communicate there where we have wine and champagne, because startuppers, they are great people. Now I was in batch 3. I think you were in 1. No, in batch 2. Well, I'm sure there were as great guys as in our batch, in their batches. And it's very interesting to listen to their opinion on these products and running cost devs. That's number 1. Number 2, I have a specific example of partnership. We will be partnering with them soon. We're strengthening our product with their product. For instance, document recognition is a strong competitive advantage when you come to bank, and when we come to bank, we say that it's not just we are not only sending scans. We can recognize them, and we are saving 30% of your time, and people are ready to pay for it. And then e-signatures. Within our system, you can sign the contracts between the bank and legal entity using some simple electronic signature, qualified or non-qualified signature, and it strengthens our products, and you can monetize it. And number 3, something the guys have mentioned, that sometimes you can sit together with guys. You work with banks, we work with banks, so let us take a look at our contacts. Let us introduce each other and use this as a synergy, and it's a great way of finding new clients. Something that you were asking about. Yeah, great. Moving on to the next question. Are you yourselves the customers of some startups? From our batches, it doesn't matter. There are some small services who do not proclaim themselves to be startups. We use some small services like that. You could call them startups, not small businesses. These are the ones simplifying our work in LinkedIn. Several programmers created a cool technology, and you can press the buttons. All the necessary buttons. So it emulates the personal activity. You press buttons and so on, and when the person responds, then when you get response from people, then you start talking to people in person. Before that, it's just simulation. It's really cool. It saves the time, and we are trying to do that. So we don't mind trying something new. Yeah, it's about time. We definitely use, and neural networks and graphics. We use them, and it's fast and it's clear and it's easy. You speak the same language, and you don't spend time for approvals and stuff. And market leaders, they have complex interfaces, long onboarding, support desk is very yeah, and it's easier with startups, and you speak the same language, and it's faster. Yeah, and you talk to the service desk in a not in a very overly polite way. You say you use the first names and so on. Yeah, I agree with that. And well, I've already mentioned document recognition and electronic signatures, and I think it's one of the key elements for company success when you are concentrating on your narrow field where you are the best. And you can take the similarly narrow expertise from other guys, and you won't have to recreate something that Valery is creating. So I don't have to create some virtual characters who would be selling banking service products, for instance. So you need to use it, and we do use it, and we are clients or like collaborators with other startups. So what do you think? Are there any, landmines that interfere with your activity? Well, these are totally different things when we talk about integrators and providers. We have distributor contracts signed with two largest integrators, and we've been in their accelerator, and we understand how they work. So with them, you need to work as with big corporations, having sufficient time, reserves a lot of patience. You need to have a lot of time with them, because sometimes it takes not months but years. And the customer may be really interested in working with you, but they are very slow. They're very slowly moving, but then it'll be a great push. So you can have a good partnership with them. But as for startups, it's always easier to run some very fast things and collaborate, agree on something, and do something. So in our case, it works really well when you come to the client in a company of other startups. So there are 5 of us, and hey, client will come, 5 of us will come to you, and we have different products, and it works really well in Russia. If a big customer agrees to spend 1 hour of his or her time, so probably it'll be better for the client to see 5 startups. Well, as for some landmines or some pitfalls, traps and pitfalls, it's about startups running out of money, and it's important to understand that they have good quality, good foundations, good funds. And as for big corporations, it's time consuming working with them. Well, I can tell you the pros and cons, why you should work, why you shouldn't work with them. Yeah, I agree with Valerie that one of the drawbacks is about startup stability issues. But if a startup has the list of the pilots that have that they run, or some launches in the industry, then you can they seem more reliable, and you can rely on them. And by the way, that another advantage is that the startups that were there in my batch in Sber 500, you can rely on them. They underwent a long way up to 25,000, and they have quality mark on them. And the next question are there any online platforms that would allow you to find similar startups? Because I can see that you interact with startups where you, the ones that you met in some accelerators and so on. But is there such a platform that help you find startups or help you interact with investors, for instance, finding investors, finding clients from corporations? Well, I can tell you that we are quite active, and as of now, we didn't have good experience in this sense in Russia. Well, Moscow Innovative Cluster has its solution, but we don't get anything from there. As for investors, that's a separate subject to discuss, and I can tell you that in Russia, nothing's running except for MS Excel. Well, I mean, you are running everything in your Excel file, and it's very, and you get something if you're really lucky. I haven't come across something that works well, that someone comes to you. As for foreign analogs, well, it's clear. Outside Russia, it's clear. They have portals there. You sign up and it works. And sometimes we get requests from UAE or something, and it's not necessarily about mine. It's about like, let's talk. So good. But I can tell you that it happens in Russia. Well, if you attend events, yes. As for such platforms, no. Yeah. Telegram and Facebook, those closed communities for startups. Well, not investors. It's a rare thing. But as for startups, it's really easy. You need an intro, and you write them, and they give it to you. 500 startups, accelerators, and so on. So you get this network formed, and getting an email or hot intro to any investor or any corporation, it's not always a problem, really. The problem is like who you are, where you're from, and so on. Yeah, I'd agree with my colleagues. So the main contact with find other startups, it's the accelerators or from Moscow Innovative Clusters on the corporate level. And one of the examples can be Skolkovo. Not a bad network and startup collection, but there it really depends on the head of the cluster. You know, we have IT cluster, and in fintech, guys are quite active. We meet, we do the barbecue, and in those barbecues, eat a business. Well, not a big business in our case, but in some cases it's a multi-billion business, so barbecue rules. And if we talk about some online platform, well, I can't really remember something that would be efficient. Yeah, the Moscow, that Moscow company has this portal, but it's not alive. It's inefficient. Yeah, so we talked about several aspects: how you look for clients, how startups can look for startups, how you work with investors, and you need to use Facebook and Telegram to look for them. And Sber is launching this online platform, Sber Unity, and we are creating this single place where startups and investors and corporations can meet each other. And one of the services will be VS value of the services, where you can give some discounts or special proposals for other startups to make for the interaction between the startups be easier to make it easier to find the clients. I think so one of you signed up. Yeah, all of us are testing. So we want your feedback. Yeah, we'll get back to you with the feedback. Yeah, it's early to say. Well, the main recommendation I'd say would be to please stay a living platform. Very often such platforms, they just die because no one's interacting with anyone there. So the spirit of community, maintaining it is the most important thing. Yeah, we have sign up. No, naturally, no issues with signing up. It's quite clear. Well, in terms of how it'll live on, well, it depends on the guys who'll be maintaining that, and on us too. Yeah. It's a question where it's easier for you to write to someone using the Telegram or using the platform. Yeah, all any corporation or any investor in the platform looks like a no-name sum, and you'll be getting responses from some manager who doesn't make any decisions, and there it's clear who you are talking to. You talk to a founder from startups, for instance. So in startup, you talk to a founder, and in corporation, you talk in. Well, as for investor, you don't know who you're talking to, and also corporation, maybe they've just hired a girl or a guy who's just running paperwork for them. And also the response is, yeah, it's a separate story. And in foundations, in the U.S., for instance, the 90, if you're at early stage, they respond, you are too early for us in 90% of the cases. And in Russia, it's some random who would reply, some random foundation that would reply. So this last mile working with content, we are somehow in this sphere. I think this is important. Well, I want to do some PR for Emerge, and I think the startup has to pitch everywhere, has to sign up everywhere, placing, being present everywhere. So we were pitching here, and we received soft commit just today from California. We didn't expect it. Yeah. And we found quite a lot of contacts like that because we were pitching somewhere or because we left information about ourselves somewhere. So we really want to have you writing us, sending us requests, and so on. Yes, thank you very much. It was very nice to talk to you, and we've discussed a very interesting subjects. And see you again. Thank you.